now in this group, and Talon are a team that overall they've had some weaknesses, but also their strengths have looked really good, and they're pretty cohesive as a unit because these six have been together.
Haru has a muscular body and was once a handball player. I quite like the name handball because I think that is the laziest sport name. It's a ball that you're using with hands. It's like kickball.
You don't feel that way about football?
I'll be honest, yeah, football is pretty lazy, but soccer is wrong.
And
okay, it's just having a scrap. Oh, that is one low mech on Slay Vega. Shui just getting right into the thick of it. The dive largely insurmountable.
You're not seeing the sort of, we've just seen Apura onto the McCree as well in the last match between Mega and Blank, and this time around you're seeing Persia onto the McCree, and you're not seeing that same level of disengage, you're not seeing that same level of punish when Machi dived in. Talon just kind of got caught out of place here. Quick cap now from Machi. Both teams going for mostly a dive composition here, so we've seen a lot of teams play tanks, but they're not the ones that want to be diving on big tanks.
They're just trying to, again, sort of brawl their way out the front ways, and they do get the conversion on D-Crown, but it's traded back anyway. Machi are tankless in this one, though, so Shui and Can have a lot of work to do, and Persia has been able to sit on the back unprotected. Good deflect from Shui to catch MCD, but he does go down, unfortunately, so Talon should be able to start pushing their way in on this one now, but it's taken them a really long time.
And you can see most of their core members are still stuck inside the room, only now they're walking out towards the point, so while they have collected kills, they have given away percentage points onto the camp itself, and Machi have used this time to respawn and reinforce.
And that's the thing, they have been able to reinforce, they've just completely regrouped. Once again, the fight essentially starts afresh, and first it's the two Winstons going down. This is where Machi, the extra ultimates they've got from the extra time on the point, can start paying off. Shui has a Dragon Blade that he may not even need to commit. Persia went down as well, having already channeled the Deadeye. So Talon, they kind of won the fight, but were too late, too slow to capitalize on it.
Well, they need to start moving right as they start to get some kills. They need to move towards the point itself, put pressure onto the camp, put pressure onto the objective. The fact that Machi can get a full wave of respawns and then contest that push means that all the effort that Talon put into the previous fight win, unfortunately, goes and means for nothing. Machi's sitting on a lot of ultimates now. Talon on the catch-up.
Ooh, that's a catch, though. They're able to pick off Kant on the flank, and that means Machi do go in for this dive, knowing that they kind of have to convert now. Sound Barrier out for Machi as well, on top of Shui's Dragon Blade, and it pays off for them. The resources piled in do work out for them. Nice deflect as well at the very end there. And this is a bit of a stagger at the end on Slay Vega, but Machi 97 now.
And that's the thing, right? Because they had so many ultimates, they could just use them all knowing that this was going to be the final fight.
Oh.
Bootake already going down.
Yeah, down already, and I don't think... Oh, no, McD not quite able to get onto the point in time. Full 100-0, and honestly, I think a bit of over-caution out of Talon in some areas there, especially for the fight that they had won.
I mean, is it over-caution or lack of urgency? Could be a little bit of both, but it seems like the latter to me. They just weren't very quick to respond to things that they initiated. They were the ones that got the kills with, they were the ones that got the kills with Persia on the McCree early on, but then they just didn't quite push out. That cost them so much. That was a fight where they needed to cap, a fight they needed to win, which they kind of did win, but didn't get any progress out of. A new map, a new day, though, they need to show us something a little bit different onto Shrine.
But what if it's the same day, like in-game? But it's just been no time. They're like, all right, let's go have a fight somewhere else instead.
Well, it's all on the same mountain.
Yeah, you can do it all in a day. Big day trip. Really, both of these teams are just very aggressive tourists. Machi, though, coming out with this tank shield comp. Judo, though, going down very early. That's a little bit rough, and not really finding the trade back, trying to close out on Buteok, but Raphael is really putting down the hurt.
So this is something that Machi have been good at so far, which is they get onto the pressure side very quickly, immediately onto the camp. Just like on Village, they're immediately into the other team as well with the superior positioning. But how does Judo get taken down so quickly? He's got his own personal barrier. He's got D-Crown there to shield for him as well. The fact that he dies is, I mean, you can't really have that happening.
And now that they're not really set up on the point, they can't really afford the Reaper here, unfortunately. They're going to go ahead and swap onto a Junkrat that has a bit of a better time breaking past those shields out of Talon. They're going to be doing so under a similar amount of grenade fire from Raphael, who's coming up on Riptide. Very quick EMP out of Cad. They do get a conversion on Buteok, but this is not quite clean. They need to close out more. They need to get Persia, who is busy channeling a Deadeye, takes one down. And Machi haven't quite got that conversion. They're just slowly being beaten back now. Transcendence out of MCD, and D-Crown going to get picked off by Persia. Raphael, don't know if that was quite a necessary riptide, but what's done is done, and the point stays in the hands of Talon. Clutches, if you will.
And for Machi as well, the EMP was good, right? You could see it coming down on a lot of members, but can't immediately having to translocate backwards. MCD, who was involved into the EMP, he lost all of his shield, but usually when the EMP goes down into a Zenyatta, the Zenyatta has to die. That just did not happen. Machi could not secure the kill, and now Shui, he doesn't want to repeat the mistake looking for kills.
Yeah, he's going to have to get a big conversion. The Coalition's out as well. Only got Raphael, but they have got Buteok down on the front line as well. Should be able to find their way into this one. Indeed, they do. And the conversion, it is quick and it is clean. And I tell you what, so far between these two teams, we haven't seen a lot of those fights where, you know, kills are getting traded back and forth. It's either all one way or all the other.
You're also seeing now Raphael, because he committed the Riptire last fight, he didn't have it this time around, and he kind of wishes he did have it this time around. You want to be able to trade something back. If Shui is going to Riptire into you, you want to do the exact same thing back to Machi, and that might have been enough to get Talon back into the game, and now they've had to fully reset. They do have a lot of percentage advantage though, and they need to make these ultimates count, because Judo and Machi, they got big ones.
Earth Shatter gets a little bit, and they do actually start converting off it, but D-Crown unfortunately goes down for his trouble. They have still got the upper hand on this one, and Talon aren't exactly fighting anywhere near to the point anyway. They are going to just reset off this one, but Machi retain a lot of ultimates.
And Machi still get that Graviton Surge most importantly, and they also get the EMP. That's one of the main differences between the two compositions is the Zarya, and it's going to be the Sombra. So now we're going to see exactly what they can get in terms of mileage out of these two big ultimates. Either one of them could win a fight.
Ooh, catch on to Kansas. Pretty nice out the gate for Persia. Takes the EMP off the table, and oh, Raphael, he got Judo, but the rest of the team is in a Transcendence, not a Transcendence, a Graviton Surge. It's a bit of a different thing, but the fight's just kind of sliding away of Talon. The grab was kind of too late, to be honest.
I think the grab came out at a reasonable time, but the issue is they didn't have the damage follow-up, and part of that comes down to Raphael getting a kill with his Riptide onto Judo himself, who we didn't quite get to see how much energy that he had, but you can imagine they were really looking to pile the damage on, and that kind of gets put down when you lose members. Speaking of losing members,
And going to come straight in with an EMP, does get the connect, and Buteok finds himself very much cornered with no shield up, not able to throw out that Earth Shatter either. The ultimate from Shui didn't really find anything, unfortunately. This is Talon getting... Oh, D-Crown. Oh, that ought to be what they need to convert to close it out. They were already kind of getting the fight sliding their way. This is now just a bonus, if you will.
They did run out of resources, though. They have Kiyomi's Coalescence here, which needs to be enough, but Talon, they got some firepower, and Earth Shatter from Buteok could be what they need to secure this one. They're also much closer to a Riptide, and they have just enough time to make this one work. Expected double 99 here, but Machi are just so much further behind economy-wise.
At least right now they are, and that's the Coalescence out very early from Kiyomi. They're really just trying to pressure these members off. Buteok didn't really get anything out of that Earth Shatter, and Persia's down, just shy of having that Deadeye available. Now parting onto the point, things not quite going great. Persia is back up, but that is a fast grab. No conversion, though. Where is the damage? Shui is at least getting the rest of these members now after the fact, and Riptire for good measure to close out on Persia, who did get the Deadeye, but didn't get anything for it. That was not comfortable for Machi, but once things were in their favor, when the fight started off well for them, they kind of landslid in their favor.
This is the thing, though, for Shrine, though, they needed, I mean, it was a very slow start, right? You said once it started coming in for them, they really did landslide quite a lot further in. It's just a nice string of kills going to come in from Persia as well. Ooh. But the other factor is, outside of that, Persia didn't have huge displays. He got one other Deadeye where he killed Kiyomi once. And then in the final fight, he just got taken down so quickly, like you said, at 99% right before the Deadeye. And it's at a time where Talon need just about everything. Buteok didn't quite hit anything with the Earth Shatter, so everything just kind of going wrong at the same time. Yeah. No McCree, no Earth Shatter, nothing happening there. You get the res onto Raphael, but half your team's dead.
Like I said, though, excuse me, on the side of Machi, it does seem almost quite feast or famine. Like either they don't quite get, you know, get ahead of steam, or they do and they absolutely wash the fight out from there. Often, you know, not even losing a single member. If they do, it tends to be only the one, and half the time they're able to get res back anyway. And, I mean, Talon are getting good fights. That's the thing. They're just not getting them consistently enough. So it's not even that, you know, Machi are living and dying by their own, you know, own prowess or what have you. It is also that, unfortunately, Talon aren't quite getting the openings, the beginnings that they're needing, or sort of disrupting that momentum from Machi in the fights.
And a lot of that's coming down to a couple of misfires there, like you're seeing Riptides coming out of Talon that are just not really connecting. You're also, you know, on some level, in terms of the greater macro play, and by the way, going to go to Numbani next, is the fact that for Talon, their composition was unfortunately not as impactful as the other composition. Like, the main differences here was the Zarya and also the Sombra on the side of Machi, and that ended up making a huge difference. The grabs were good. There was just only one grab, which unfortunately didn't give them enough, and that's because Talon got counter trades that were better. But the final grabs into the game, which he built very quickly, very good. The hacks were great. The EMPs were effective as well, so that pushed Machi over the line.
Well, let's see if they can get it over the line once again on Numbani. I mean, we can dissect and disseminate what happened as much as we like, and, you know, talk about all the what-ifs and say it was, you know, maybe only a gradual thing or maybe an absolute roll kind of thing, but they have to replicate the success. Machi are a team that should be able to do that.
Also, the lead as well, that was a little bit more of a convincing lead than what we may have already expected. These two teams should be matching up just a little bit closer, but that was a 2-0 for Machi so far. Now Talon need to bite back just a little bit harder. Now coming into Numbani, Kiyomi using Taekwondo black belt, track and field runner before deciding to be a pro gamer. So
that is like when he says "fight me IRL," he means it.
Yeah,
and he'll win. He's not just some basement dwelling neckbeard.
He doesn't even have a beard, but he does have.
But he does have a neck.
Yep, he's got one half of it.
I wonder if he has a basement.
Also, honestly, I think it's quite rare for people to have basements nowadays. I just don't know.
It is, yeah.
What do you need one for?
You know, you're not allowed a basement in New Orleans.
5.
Oh, the water table's too high.
3, 2.
That makes sense.
1.
Yeah, if you had a basement, it would be underwater. There are places in the world where that's not allowed.
I'd like to see the black belt come out onto the Zenyatta as well. We know how deadly those melee kicks are.
It's a really aggressive kick as well. Like, there's so much oomph behind it. I think it's actually the most aggressive-looking quick melee of them all. It's like a proper punt, you know? There's going to be the dive in from Talon Restia. Great fire grenade down in front of himself. Keeps him topped off, puts Buteok in hot water, and that gets converted upon. Able to keep Shui alive for so long as well, just kind of wasting Raphael's time. And in the meantime, Kant and D-Crown have been able to get a lot of work done, along with Judo as well. D-Crown finally going down very late in the fight, but honestly, I think between Judo and Kant, they should be able to keep this point secure.
And the respawners coming up from March are going to be effective as well. Shui's already back on alive. The
hack on Judo.
Tanks are barely still into it. As I say that though, Judo gets D-maxed.
Yeah, the hack actually came through onto him, and I think he thought that maybe he could just get enough damage to close it out and make it not matter. Oh,
that's a snipe.
Stood still to reload, but in the end, he unfortunately was wrong and didn't back off in time, but the re-entry now in earnest from Machi, especially with that pick on Persia, who was not able to commit the EMP for being dead, and that's the recommit that Machi are kind of after here. Should be able to close out these last few, and a bit of a stagger on Slave Vega as well.
You see that initial defense from Machi as well when Talon made that first dive in. Part of the reason they got such a good hit in that is the fact that Shui was alive for so long, so it's the Talon divers couldn't clean up the kills, and while they were spending so much time with the Shui, Kant and D-Crown and Judo on the other side from Machi were able to clean up the back line. That being said though, because Machi couldn't quite reinforce before Talon got into the second attempt, Talon get 2 takes, so that's a lot of progress.
Just slowly making their way to the point. Oh, pick on Haru. It's support versus support. Supportal combat, as it were. And Talon, yeah, they had to dive anyway here, but very quickly goes pear-shaped. But the Raphael was down right at the top, and now Slave Vega D-Max. Buteok's going to go down here. Persia's still not had a chance to use this EMP, poor guy.
Yeah, and I do respect Talon going in for that that attempt, even though they lost a member so quickly, and it's because if they can get an extra ultimate out, if they can force Shui to maybe Visor here, if they can force an out of rest here, that's still a pretty decent trade, but because they couldn't do that, they're in a bad spot.
That's a very aggressive commit out of Persia, though. He does actually run down Kiyomi, but it doesn't really catch the rest of the team here. So Machi can still kind of commit to the main fight. Yeah, Nano Visor, in fact, they just start trying to rain bullets around. Hasn't really got any good angles on a lot of targets, though. Just sort of a lot of peppered damage, very spread out. Now Shui gonna have to round around the long way, readdress, re-enter the fight. And by the time he gets there, it's looking like D-Crowd's going to be dead. They've only got the one trade back. MCD still got a Transcendence if he needs it. Raphael still got a Dragon Blade if he needs it. Machi, on the other hand, really have next to nothing aside from this Transcendence from Kiyomi, which he is smartly not going to commit. They know the fight is over. They need to pull back and stay alive.
And now you're seeing that one player, the solo EMP, and by the way, Kiyomi needs to get out with his life if Machi want to defend this, but the solo EMP onto Kiyomi ended up being good enough. They stopped the Transcendence from coming into play when required. Then they rebuffed the Nano Visor from Shui, and all it took was Slay Vega getting into his face, and Machi did not have the firepower to defend. Raphael went to town, didn't even use the Dragon Blade.
And man, this is a tricky position now, I think, for Talon, because Machi have actually been able to reset pretty handily, and we're able to retain some tools as well. And also that took quite a while for Talon to ultimately cap, losing this early fight here. It's kind of good momentum on the defense here for Machi, and Talon's going to need to find a way in. Again, they still haven't actually used this Dragon Blade.
And the thing is, it's a big misstep from Talon because they're actually ahead in ultimates right now. They're ahead in a lot of ways. Another solo EMP.
Just trying to get Kiyomi. They do get the conversion, then Persia ducks straight back out. Nearly even died in it, but that means effectively right now this is a 5 versus 5. Starting to slide the way, though, very quickly of Talon, and Raphael finally able to commit that Dragon Blade. Will die right at the end, but this is the payload back underway for Talon, finally finding that entry point.
You're still seeing the value in these solo EMPs. Usually you want to get a lot of people in them, and right now, you maybe still do, but what you do want to secure 100% is if Kiyomi gets hacked, if he gets EMP'd, there's not going to be a Transcendence. That means when Talon goes in, specifically when Raphael used his Dragon Blade, there's not going to be a counter from Kiyomi. So understanding what they need to win, very important. Kiyomi hacked again. They just do not want to see the
wow. And I mean, this is now a Transcendence that he's had since point A got capped. Finally able to commit it, and will be able to keep Judo alive thanks to it. But the hack on Shui means no tactical eyes from him. Persia is really just disrupting this backline so much. Catch on Shui as well. That was an alley-oop. Buteok tossed him into the radius of that self-destruct. Now able to back off. Ooh, can barely get in the angle here, and actually by taking the tanks out, they may be able to stabilize this defense here with those respawns starting to come in. They need to get some tanks on the point. They've got Judo there. They've got the sound barrier as well. What is going on here, man? Talon is still just kind of harassing around. Machi haven't fully recommitted.
Well, you're seeing them get a little bit desperate, right?
Stick on Shui.
The visor gets shut down as well. The EMP comes out, which means Judo cannot remake or do anything. And for Machi, look, Rexia had to use a sound barrier on 2 members just to try and stay in the fight. Shui, the only remaining win condition with the visor, instantly shut down with a pulse bomb. Machi right now are falling apart.
They had the members for that as well. D-Crown was alive. He was just nowhere near the fight, didn't commit. And it seems like there was maybe a bit of a missed connection between these parts of the team where they were sort of committing and then not. Again, just getting around the backside.
Persia finds his favorite member as well, just getting...
Oh boy.
Kiyomi's not having a great day.
Just wants some time alone. Oh, gets Restia, now he's going to stay in the backline and get damage on Kiyomi as well. Just harassment, disruption coming out of Persia here is making it really hard for Machi to play coordinatedly.
And spotting on some members. Look, even if he doesn't get too much out of that, he gets a lot of information that Talon can use as they keep pushing the cart around. When do Machi stop this?
They're finally going in, and at last we see D-Crown putting his feet back onto that payload, but instantly hacked, dropped down, and not able to use the Primal Rage thanks to the hack. Shui dead as well. Judo has to commit to self-destruct. It's really all they've got. It at least creates some breathing room for them, and D-Crown will be able to re-enter the fight. Hopefully now can get a Primal Rage into the mix, but EMP is here. Persia will be looking for the angle to commit it to close out the fight. They still have the numbers. Now self-destruct from Slay Vega. Oh, even catching Judo just to add insult to injury, but with Persia dead, they may be able to stabilize here. Machi, Shui has got to work overtime. He's dead. He can't do it. It's got to be Kant now, and he's getting pressured out. Sound barrier from Restia. Last legs in the fight. They've got the Coalescence. They've got all these stalled tools. They're maybe, just maybe, going to get the respawners in.
And right now, he's got to use it, I think, as well for Talon. They're still into this one. The Primal was used as well, and finally, Finally, Talon look like they're going to be rebuffed here. Finally, Machi get their legs in on this defense in the final moments as well.
Oh, geez.
Just so close to that final cap in. And actually, Talon got to be slightly concerned here. 30 seconds just about left to go. Persia swapping onto the Doomfist, now onto the McCree. The Sombra was actually working out pretty good, but since Kant's been on his own Sombra, Machi have fought back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're just sort of applying their own disruption now, and Persia kind of tired of it. Gonna pull out the McCree, has the flashbang option against both Kant and Shui. And actually, to speak to Shui, we haven't really seen much out of him on this Tracer, unfortunately. Kant looking for the angle. One good EMP from him, conceal it, gets right in, right on top of the team, plus the Coalescence. Immediately melts these tanks, the self-destruct as well. Just layering it all on, slathering it thick. And Talon, too much to swallow.
There's the last member going down. Yeah, Haru's going to go down. Time's going to run out. And for Talon as well, you almost wanted them to see, you almost wanted to see Persia, A, stay onto the Sombra because it was just so effective.
Yeah.
And B, you needed to see that Sombra pay some more dividends. And I don't want to put pressure on him by saying it wasn't enough, because I think it was enough. The issue is there needed to be more overall from the entire team. You saw the backline pressure he had. You saw how effectively he shut down Kiyomi time and time again. And then rest here as well, collecting kills on the backline, EMPs and hacks coming out in all the right places. And somehow Talon couldn't get across the board. And I think one of the factors was that Kant eventually changed onto his own Sombra. His EMP came out at a very crucial time to stop the push coming out from Talon. And that one stabilization defensively from Machi gave them enough feet in the ground to keep that defense.
There was also a real, like I said, kind of missed connection moment from Machi where they had all their members up and they looked like they had decided to commit to a fight, but only 3 actually went in. Those 3 got picked off, and then the other 3 went in afterwards when the fight was already lost. And, you know, either all go in or all retreat. Don't half and half. Like they say, never half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing.
It's got to be, you know, wise words.
Wise words indeed.
From that, by the way.
Sounds like something. It sounds like a Confucius saying almost.
Yeah. Just a little bit more.
By the way, Confucius,
child-friendly.
like actual Confucius, didn't say any of those things.
No.
I want to be clear.
It's your version. Your headcanon version.
But
But
all those like Confucius say jokes, like it's not philosophy. What about Socrates say? Why don't we blast the Greek philosophers too, huh?
That's because Socrates didn't speak English. So.
Neither did Confucius.
That's the joke. Welcome to the joke. But now that we've arrived, but also welcome to Numbani, and welcome to the Talon and defense here, where it's going to be Persia onto the Soldier. And we see that Anna's in defense here, paired with the Soldier quite often, specifically on Numbani A. So for Machi, we're going to have to see if this dive, and so far this dive is not going to work out. Kant sent back to spawn so quickly.
Yeah, oops. And kind of gives a bit of extra ultimate charge over to Talon, funnily enough. But yeah, now respawning, Kant will actually be able to get back in. It's only a little bit of time lost, and we are also seeing Shui on the Genji. I'm expecting good things out of that.
And we have to see how they approach. They're going to lose about 30 seconds, though. So overall, if we see this go into overtime onto A, that'll be where that 30 seconds makes a big difference. And Persia already dropping off. He's respecting the space so much.
And maybe even a bit too much, because it means they don't get as much opening damage on Deep Ground, who is now very healthy as they start pressuring out, but able to catch Kiyomi on the low ground. Muzo, though, going down. Shui starting to do the work. Slave Vega as well low. And if they can take these tanks out, then maybe they can actually start converting onto Persia and these DPSs, because with the tanks not there, it's 2 ticks up already for Machi. Shui with a Dragon Blade available.
It's coming.
Yeah, straight in onto the back line. Gets 2, gets 3, looks for more, and there's no one left to kill except this freshly demexed Slave Vega. And off the back of the Dragon Blade, they get that last pick. I told you I was expecting good things.
And this is the thing about the Dragon Blade coming out as well. If you track the ultimates there, you'll have actually seen that Shui was monumentously ahead of anyone else, not just on his own team, but on the other team as well. For all the early damage that Talon had, for all the early pressure and the early kill to Kant, Shui was matching ult charge on the other side, and then it just surpassed them all. That Dragon Blade came out so quickly, there was no response from Talon.
That was super rough as well. Like I said, I think Persia may have over-respected a little bit. Could have at least got a bit more damage out. You've got to maximize those little things here and there, especially in a matchup that is, by rights, a close one. Now Machi just sort of looking to set up on the flank, keep the momentum going for the cart. They've got the ultimate, certainly, and Talon still not really cycling into any of their own, only just getting up on a Transcendence now, but self-destruct forward out of Judo to create space, and Talon are kind of forced to respond in kind. Plus the Transcendence, they kind of go 1-for-1 here, but now it starts to slide the way of Machi once again. They commit all their resources into it, but they can. It's not like Talon have more that they've been holding on to. They used everything they had too. It's actually Machi who preserved tools. Well, actually, except for D-Crown. I don't think that was necessary.
And this is when Machi get their free cap, right? This was all on one attempt onto B, and they've been able to snowball all the way from A onto B. Talon get wiped so quickly, they have no chance to even get a recontest onto B. Now it's all going to be onto C, and there's a lot of time coming into play for Machi. The only thing Machi are missing is a ton of ultimates, but they do have another blade.
And Talon are only just going to be coming up on some. They don't actually have them yet, so there's still a window for Machi here. If they take fights at the right time, kind of stagger these ultimates out of Talon, which is exactly what's happening. First to primal rage, they do catch D-Crown. Ooh, that's a Dragon Blade out. He does go down. They got the dead eye for it though, so call it a 2-for-1, and Machi are going to start slowly charging up the rest of those ultimates.
And I think Machi should have understood there that they did not have enough ultimates to complete the game. They probably needed to be a little bit more prudent on what they were willing to use, because Shui holding onto the blade for this next fight would have been very important, because now this is when Talon are actually kind of dry themselves, and for Machi, they're looking for advantages, but right now they don't really have any.
While you channel the Deadeye, I committed the blade. Raphael's great stick into the mix on a D-Crown. Does get hacked out though, so that one tank down may not hurt Machi too much. With this Coalescence, they can keep Judo up, able to throw out a self-destruct as well, right in the middle of this final area. Hurts Talon's ability to flood back onto the cart now. Just desperately keeping these members up here on the side of Machi, but Shui is down. The counter dive has started to pay off here for Talon, as Restia picked as well. And it doesn't matter that Slay Vega has no mech. The tanks and the dive are putting out enough pressure. Machi are going to have to try this one another time.
You did see the EMP come out of Kant as well, but unfortunately not enough kills coming up from Machi, not enough damage coming out of Machi. But what was at least prevalent is the fact that Kant managed to get 55% on the ult charge despite just using the EMP. So at least that was able to be used. Yomi, not Yomi, Shui rather, now with another blade.
Persia nearly died there, just getting out, and that means Cam was able to quickly follow up. Persia being out of the fight is really rough here, because it just gives Shui all this free space. Buteok is stalling as best as he can, but now he's dead. That means the team is going to start coming on really staggered, especially if Haru goes down here. Indeed, he does, having committed the Valkyrie as well. Talon, they don't have the members and the EMP just to slam dunk it and drive it home. Machi going to close out Numbani, 2-0 up in the series.
That one looked pretty convincing from Machi. All things considered, at the end of the day, you do have to credit Talon for at least their part in that match, which is to say, they pushed it to C, couldn't quite close things out, but they made Machi at least work for it. And this opening blade of their push was so incredibly good. I mean, this came out at a time when no one expected any ultimates to be in there. And the sort of way, like, you can just tell, like, when you see a good Genji player, the way he moves around, the way he acquires targets.
It says a lot that most of those kills were dashes, rather than actually swinging the blade itself. Like, that's a good Genji right there. And, like, I don't mean to say, like, it's better to get kills with dashes than with blades, but, like you're saying, he knows how to move on the Genji, he knows who to be picking and when. He just knows where everyone is, how low they are, knows that he can just dash and get the kills on them. It's beautiful play, really.
Yeah, it's sort of spatial awareness and just knowing, look, these people are here, I can dash in this direction and this kind of it's really good to see. And you saw that kind of that sort of momentum keep rolling through. Look, B was a one-fight affair. B was just one clean fight out of Machi, no response kills from Talon, could not slow Machi down whatsoever, and that means, look, Machi get to roll on through him, because Machi didn't even win the fight quickly. They specifically cleaned up members kind of in a staggered, in a sort of staggered reason, like one at a time. Some members died quite late, and the late members, because they died so late, you're not going to see a recontest out of Talon. So all things considered, Machi, a well-constructed attack.
And once again, I feel like Talon are maybe over-respecting Machi here. They are giving them a lot of space, and at times where they maybe don't need to. It seems that the only one who sort of you know, had the cojones to go in sometimes has been Persia on the Sombra. And when he was doing that, the disruption was throwing Machi into disarray half of the time. I want to see this team, this Talon squad, playing with just a little bit more confidence because they are a good team. They are evenly matched against Machi here. They could be 2-0 up in their own right, and they certainly can still turn it around 2 for 2. I really want to see them address that now in the short break that they get.
And I want to see the star power come out of them as well, right? Because they have Persia on the Sombra, which has been really good. And this is a team that came into Contenders. When I spoke to their coach Arachne, they said, Sombra is something we're focusing on. Sombra is something we're confident on. And you saw the result out of that on their attack when they had the Sombra out when Persia was onto the back line. Kiyomi spent like 2 whole phases of Nimbani not having been able to use the Transcendence. And usually a solo EMP is kind of questionable. You're like, that's not maximum value. But it is maximum value when you take out the one ultimate Machi want to use defensively. So you can tell that Talon have the pieces there. They just got to put it together a little bit more consistently. I don't think he should be playing McCree Soldier anymore. Just stick on the Sombra right now because that's been working. The other 2 picks are not working.
Yeah, unfortunate as that is to say, or indeed maybe fortunate as that is to say, because they got that Sombra that they could just be pulling out at any time. And I think one thing that is actually fair to say here is the tanks from Talon are looking more and more confident, actually. We are seeing them more willing to commit, which I think is a good thing. And like I said, I just want to see that kind of continue. I want to see the rest of the team just be willing to commit, not give Machi too much space, too much respect. Be ready, be prepared to meet them.
All right, and they'll be meeting each other again very, very soon. When we come back from the break, Machi versus Talon will continue. 2-0 up in the series so far for Machi. Can Talon bring it back in? We'll see you after the break.